The Amazon rainforest is known as the lungs of the world. They give us the majority of the oxygen that humans and other animals take in to survive and live. It takes a vast area of land. There's a wealth of wildlife within the rainforest and an abundance of fauna and flora. From this, we can get lots of things for medicine, research. Over 2,000 different tropical plants have been used alone just in the fight against cancer. Without it, we will die as a race. We shouldn't be cutting these trees down.
I understand your point completely, but there are other needs in the world. Some people do have cancer and it devastates families and it devastates the world, but equally devastating is the economic cost of not cutting the trees down. People need houses to live in and there quite simply isn't enough space for them.
I take your point about the industry needing to cut down and fell trees for the use of building new societies, new homes, new areas. I take your point on that fact, but the rainforest is getting cut down at such a high rate. It equates to the same size of a football pitch every second, which is just enormous amounts of land being felled for the use of these new houses to be built. But as a consequence of all these trees being felled and cut down, the indigenous people and the tribes within the rainforest are ultimately suffering and having to relocate and go further into the rainforest to relocate, which is not far now. And also, as having to be relocated, the means of survival and the food they're going to be eating is also suffering because the wildlife are having to either rehouse and relocate themselves, or in some instances become extinct. The tribes will ultimately suffer themselves.
The point he makes a good one. However, I and other people have reasons to disagree, and one of those reasons to disagree is the fact that the people who live in those areas, the indigenous tribes, need to change and update their way of life. They are living in an antiquated way, they're living in a bygone era, and their way of life doesn't suit modern times. In fact, we're doing them a favour by changing their lives and by bringing in modern technology and modern science. Who could possibly argue with the fact that they're not better off by having modern science and modern technology to improve their lives?
I'm a little perturbed actually by your point of view. Who are we to decide that we as Westerners should go in and tell these civilisations how they ought to live their lives? They've been in the rainforest for hundreds, if not thousands of years, living peacefully, getting along with each other and living off the land. Who are we to turn up and say that they need to live the way the lives that we live? I don't think they're ready to accept our way of life mentally and physically regarding disease that we bring into their society could have horrendous effects on their existence. And mentally as well, they're not sure what solar inventions are. Planes, phones, cameras, they don't know what it is, and it's going to scare them.
Very simply, to counter your argument, I'm going to use an esteemed scientist that many people believe to have changed science and changed the way we think about the world, and that's just survival of the fittest. Charles Darwin himself said that if you're not fit enough to survive, you're going to die out. So maybe it's got to be as straightforward that these people aren't equipped to survive in our modern world, and they've got to move with us or not. Moreover, the human race has always found a way to survive and keep going, and I don't think losing a few trees is going to stop us from moving on in the future.
Well, take the indigenous tribes and uncontacted tribes out of the situation, and we do fell these trees at this rate, and those civilisations are wiped out and become extinct. Then they still have the problem of the lungs of the earth being chopped down, and ultimately if we keep and we continue to fell these trees and log these trees, then ultimately it's going to be the human race, not a small civilization, suffer.
And as I'm aware, and you may be aware, McDonald's need their cattle to produce their meat. Space, they need land, they need huge amounts of land, hectare upon hectare of land, and the way they're going to get it is by creating more space. So they need to fell the trees and they need to knock down the rainforests, because let's face it, what's going to cause the biggest problem? The wealthy Westerners kicking up a fuss about losing their fast food, or people who don't understand what's going on losing their homes.
I take your point of view there, actually, Mr. Mann. I would urge people to have a think about where they go for their food and how they get their food. I mean, does McDonald's have to have their cattle grazing in lands, at the rainforest lands? Can we not graze in fields and pastures nearer to home. That's a question that remains to be seen. But if you keep going through these rainforests just to house McDonald's cows, we have a nice cheap burger. And what we're not realising is that the homes of more than half the animals, plants and other living things in the world may soon disappear. And a species being discovered every other year in these rainforests that we don't know anything about. What is out there? There might be something out there that could cure the cancers that are plaguing our earth. And if we wipe them all out, we'll never know. We'll never get that cure.
I think I finally take your point, actually, Mr. Woods. It's about the young people, it's about the future generations who we want to enjoy the rainforests and everything they have to give, be it the animals, the plants, the benefits from the plants and the animals. People like us, it's something that's going to pass us by at some point, and at this rate, in the year 2040, it might not be here for anyone to enjoy. Now, I've got children myself who are very young, and I want them to enjoy the rainforest and to be part of an equal world, and so I think I can accept that it's very important, if not crucial, to stop cutting those blooming trees down.
I concur.